This is the Henry's Child Podcast. Am I crazy? Or am I just raving? Episode 6, The Origin of Henry's Child, Part 2.
Welcome to the 6th episode of the Henry's Child Podcast.
Number 6.
It's all about the beat, baby. Can't deny those are some great drums, eh, Rich?
Absolutely. But what makes them great drums?
Indeed. It's creativity. It's what Jeff really had. He allowed us to expand our songwriting by being able to create drum beats that you didn't expect on the grooves that you were writing and what we were trying to create.
Yeah, I am, for lack of a better term, just a very musical drummer.
Yes. A little jazzy, right? A little jazzy,
yeah,
maybe?
A little jazzy and a little... I don't know. It's hard. I've played with a lot of drummers over the years, and there's different. I think he had a little bit of a Stuart Copeland kind of feel to how he played.
It's a high compliment, but it's true.
With the use of the hi-hat especially,
yep.
And just and just this live fill. I mean, just very hop. There's a hop to his drums. There's a very live, organic feel to it. But still, it goes back to there's a musical aspect to it that I don't hear with a lot of drummers.
I totally agree. I don't remember fighting with Jeff around beats. He understood where the snare went. He understood instinctually where the kick went. He heard it.
Right.
For lack of a better term, he heard it. And you and I both know we've played with drummers where we had to fight with them.
Well, sure.
To get the beat changed. I just don't remember doing that with Jeff very often.
And knowing Jeff's background too, as far as what he played, he hadn't been playing very long. When he
it was all natural.
It was all natural, and I think the only band that I can recall that he had played in before us was a blues rock
blues band. That's right.
I mean, where does this come from? This is certainly not blues based.
I challenge most of the drummers out there. Listen to that again. Listen to what he created at the beginning of Warm and how the beat changes when he hits the pre-chorus. That is really great stuff.
In the middle, I think you referenced it on one of the earlier podcasts, but the middle of I Will.
Yes.
That
outstanding
rap-a-tat that he does.
You just don't expect it. It comes out of nowhere.
That's all Jeff.
Yep.
Nobody said, "Hey, Jeff, do that."
No, that was you and me looking at Jeff with big wide eyes going, "Yeah."
Yeah. He's filling the gaps. Exactly.
Yeah.
That's
brilliant.
That's the keep it look.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, you've seen that more than once. Absolutely. That Jeff really allowed us to do everything from a song like Warm. Let's go all the way back to Opinion when he's using the rototoms.
Yeah.
I mean, listen to that rototom work on the beginning of Opinion. It's brilliant. And same thing on Cowering Inside the Body. That was another one. He was willing to be really textural, really musical, almost not even holding a traditional beat in any way, shape, or form.
No.
That probably reached its peak around Failure. That very cool, I don't even know if it's Eastern, but whatever he created beat-wise in Failure was perfect.
Yeah, and, not only that, it just, he was a good singer, of course.
Oh, a great voice.
And he had an openness to trying anything.
Yep.
Yep. I mean, he was as much in love with playing honestly as playing Failure.
And I believe Jeff was singing the high harmony and honestly back in the day, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
That was him on that high note.
I remember when we do that acoustically, he would just bring a couple of bongos?
Yep, 2 bongos and brushes.
Yeah, and
brushes. And 1 cymbal.
Yeah. And he was fine with that.
Yeah, exactly.
That says something too, because it's weird being a musician. Like we've spoken about this, earlier in another podcast. The fact that you have to let go of ego.
Yeah.
Especially in a group.
Yeah, absolutely.
Maybe if you're Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers and your name is Tom Petty and you're Tom Petty and that's your band, well, that's a little different, right?
Or if you're Rick Ocasek in the Cars and you're just a dictator, which is
Right.
fine too. Let's reel this back a little bit though. I want to play another song. I want to play, and people should hear his voice. I want to play a little of It Came to Me.
Yeah, which has never been released either.
That's
right?
it, right. So let's give everyone here. I mean, Rich and I have, and Thom also have a new appreciation for Jeff. I won't say new, but a very deep appreciation for Jeff.
Sure.
The more mature we get as songwriters and musicians, he was amazing. We wouldn't be here without him. I can say that conclusively. We wouldn't be here without him.
Sure, absolutely.
And you got to hear his voice too. So let's play a little bit of It Came to Me. Would that work for you, Thom?
Yep, you got it.
All
Let's
right.
cue it up.
And then it came to me like a revelation in the night. And then it came to me, but I put up a fight. And then it came to me like a revelation in the night. And then it came to me, but I put up a fight. And then it came to me like a revelation in the night. And then it came to me in the night, but I put up a fight. And then it came to me like a revelation in the night. And then it came to me, but I put up a
That, my friends, is a beautiful voice. On top of that, the way it blended on the high end with your voice is what helped us write songs like Honestly and It Came to Me and I'll Try and all those beautiful harmonies.
Yeah, because it's not just a matter of you can hit the note or not. It's also there's some sort of, what do you want to call it? A meshing of timbres.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's a great way to say it, actually. I like
Yeah,
that.
totally.
A meshing of timbres. Well, and also, as you've always said, Rich, and correct me if I'm wrong, you said you have a great backup singer voice because your voice meshes with everybody.
Yeah.
You never felt like you have a lead voice, but you
Right.
do. You have the beautiful ability to mesh with everyone. And Jeff was the same way.
Right. Yeah, oh, absolutely.
It's he sang like a choir boy. What was that song he wrote for his girlfriend, Nicole?
The one I
Remember
wrote
that?
for his girlfriend.
Yeah, well, he did the melody. You got all the you led him around that. I remember that.
Yeah,
I
and
even
I
helped
did.
him with a
He
few
said,
notes.
"Can you help me?" And I
Yeah,
wrote a song for him.
that's right. I remember him showing me all the words. What do you think, man? It was great.
Yeah.
You got a great voice. Love Jeff, man.
Oh, yeah.
It was so much fun. It was so much fun.
There was never any. I mean, it's funny how things just kind of grow apart.
Mm-hmm.
Life. I used to use the statement all the time. It's just life sets in.
Right.
I think it's at the point when we parted ways with Jeff, we were kind of at a crossroads ourselves. We were frustrated because we expected more, but we didn't know how to attain it.
Yeah.
And
we really couldn't communicate that to him. We didn't have the ability then at our age to reel him in and tell him exactly how we were feeling.
No. Too much pride involved.
Exactly. Oh, yeah. I mean, like I said, at that point, my ego was so big, I was surprised anybody could breathe.
Well, that was why you had that halo, right?
That's right,
Keep
baby.
your head straight.
That's right. Kept my head straight.
Right.
Squish it through the doorway.
I think it also might have scared Elemental too when we made the
My
personnel.
head?
No,
Oh,
no,
No.
Jeff's departure.
Terrified him.
As I recall, we had sank. There was a certain amount of money that we were going to sink into radio or touring.
Yeah.
After having the most expensive Elemental album to date at the time, 1997, which
Clearly
was
Confused.
Clearly Confused. Yep.
Indeed, that all of that was, I don't know, things happened for the reasons that they did.
Sure.
And it all happened the way that it did. I still go back to Jeff being able to do a song like Honestly, being able to do a song like Simple Request, and being able to do Lie Before and
Sure.
What a Pity. And it took a drummer like Jeff to be able to apply himself creatively to all of those with zero fear. I mean,
Right.
he was all in whatever we were creating.
Well, when we finally said that the type of music that we want to do anything we want to do.
Yeah.
And
we meant that.
And we meant that, and he was open to that. And so was Kris.
Yeah, he was.
But let's kind of reel it back into where we were. I mean, here we are. We just got Jeff. Jeff's our new drummer. We're Henry's Child now.
Yeah.
We've got our band.
We got a band,
Me,
man.
you, Kris, and Jeff.
Legit band.
So we play our first show, at John Henry's.
Opening for was it Red Rum? Was one of the it was
I don't recall, but we do have the poster because it has that just trippy Lucy Lizardo poster.
Right.
Because remember, she was the booking agent at the time. She also worked at Happy Trails there. But yeah, the first show, December of '93, and it kind of went from there. But so I think as far as and then we started recording Mumbles and Screams just it was like March of '94 or so.
March '94. Yep.
Yeah.
We found a great friend of ours, Brian Jones, who was super fan and a super cool dude. He approached us and said, I could finance your album for you. He knew we were broke musicians, and bless that man for what he created. I mean, that if you listen to this, Brian, we still love you, man. That was an incredible gift you gave us.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And we gave him that. We played that party in his house, about 15 or 20 people, and in Cresswell, and man, we cranked the hell out of it. That was fun.
That's where Victim of Choice was born.
Victim by Choice, and In This Skin.
Yep.
We played In This Skin, and all 20 minutes of it then.
So, and of course, in our downtime, it was the whole, bonding over Magic, the Gathering.
Oh man, that's right.
So it went from Dungeons and Dragons to Magic
the Gathering.
Are we supposed to reveal that we were the ultimate geek band? We were not the party band. All we sat around was playing cards, and
we would play Magic the Gathering before shows
with fans who would show up knowing we played the game, and they'd bring their decks to play with us. That is some next level geek going on right there.
It's good times right there.
So, with Brian's help in '94, we go in and we record Mumbles and Screams.
Yep.
And that just kind of sets us off. And it's strange, too, because we just kind of played. If you want to throw a show at us, we're going to play a show.
We played any show.
We played any show. And
we drove all the way to Spokane one night to play a single show and drove back. That's probably my fault, but we did that.
Yeah, it was your fault.
But I drove.
Yeah. Somehow that makes it okay.
Of course. At least in my mind.
We're still alive now, so I guess it was good.
Well, I'll reel this back, though. During the recording of Mumbles and Screams, and the songwriting at that time, it really came to a head, and not in a bad way, because Kris Holm was always a fantastic human. I mean, I love Kris to this day. We realized we wanted, and he could feel it. I know he could, because he started having some issues with his arm.
Right.
If you remember, his elbow, and he thought it was repetitive motion disorder of some kind, without being carpal tunnel.
Yeah.
Because that soreness wouldn't go away in his arm. And you and I, once again, made a little list of possible bass players. We had 3. It was this guy named Thom Tessendori in this progressive Christian rock band. Is that right, Thom? Progressive Christian rock?
It was, but make sure you have the comma in the right place. So it's progressive Christian rock.
Okay, not
progressive
Christian
rock, like a progressive dinner or something.
Wow, I like that. Progressive Christian rock.
Yeah.
There was also our good friend Scott Warden from Itchy Itchy.
Yeah.
Sabin, you're hearing this.
Sabin, yeah.
And Ron and Thom.
Yep.
And then there was a third guy, Eric Avery. Was that his name?
I don't know. It wasn't Avery, because Eric Avery was the bass player for Jane's Addiction.
Oh, maybe I wished it was Eric Avery. I'd love to have him playing bass for us.
It was Eric, and of course, Eric played in a lot of bands.
Arrival.
Was he? I think he was in Arrival, yeah.
And he was really good. I liked him too.
Yeah.
Our first choice was this long-haired, hippie-looking Christian rock guy. And where'd we take you out for lunch? Was it lunch or dinner?
It was lunch.
It was lunch?
It was
you want to tell a
lunch,
story
yeah.
from here, Tom? Well, you got a phone call. Was it me or Rich that called you? Do you remember?
I don't remember. It's probably Rich. I mean, I had gone to shows.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was kind of a fan before I joined the band.
Yeah. Well, that was part of it, too. We knew you were into the music. You made that super clear. And not in a bad way. Like, we could just tell you were really into the music.
And we had a lot of conversations, me and Thom did, between shows and everything.
That's right. You two were friends before it all
Well,
happened.
we bonded over the love of King's X.
That's right.
That's right.
I forgot about that.
Oh, yeah.
You guys became friends before we even asked. That's right. That's cool. And then Pizza Pete's.
Yeah.
All you can eat Tuesday?
It was something like that.
Because that's what Rich and I could afford to buy you lunch. I think it was $5 each, so we pooled our pennies and we took you to lunch there.
Yeah, I remember it was when I was working at a gas station, but I was doing the books for them.
Right.
So I kind of would wear a tie to work, even though I didn't have to. I thought, oh man, it makes me feel powerful. So I'll show up and pull my ponytail back. And then eventually I did the 90s thing where you just shave the side of your head, and then have the
I know.
work in the front, party in the rear, right?
So we're having lunch, and I do remember officially offering you the job, you being super cool about, got to think about it.
Thom has his notebook.
This guy's note. He's taking notes
Yeah.
about
Had
what's
my
that.
notes,
How
yeah.
often do we practice? How many shows do we have coming up? If you join, I think we gave you like 2 days to decide because we had shows coming up.
Yep.
It was
there was not much time to make a decision.
That's
I
right.
remember that.
and
I was in 2 bands at that time.
oh, that's right.
I was in kind of the progressive, Christian rock band was called Rain's Edge, and that had Barry and Micah, really good drummer,
Oh,
and
yeah.
by that
Micah's a hell
time
of a
the
drummer.
incarnation had become Rich Miller and Jake, who came on to play with us later on. That's a different story, but it was the bigger version of that. And then I was playing with Hack, which was Rex Morningstar's project. And Rex Morningstar then went on to replace Andrew as the singer of
Full
Henry's
circle.
Child. But
Yep.
Either a full circle or a really
That's-
small pool. It's one or the other.
it's
Both.
probably an emergent of both, my friend. Yeah,
Yeah.
totally. But that's not what we're talking about. So I had 2 bands. And I remember I had asked Andrew if it was okay if I played in my other bands. And he kind of looked at me and was all like, I don't think that's going to happen. And at first I thought he was just kind of being like egotistical about like, oh, how dare you kind of a thing. And then it occurred to me after in our conversation, Henry's Child practiced so much there wouldn't even be time
No.
to be in other bands.
Not back then.
No.
And I said yes.
You did.
I before I say yes though, I had actually got a mix, a pre-mix of Mumbles and Screams.
Mm-hmm.
And because all we had at the time was just the Drink Me cassette, which I probably bought from Dawn, your former wife, at a show. I
Probably.
remember that.
That's right. She was the
everybody's
sales
all like,
lady.
oh, like
Yeah.
this artwork is super,
It was her.
super awesome. No,
Yeah.
it was really good. I remember buying that cassette tape and getting the. I got the pre-mix
Uh-huh.
that had the bass sort of boosted up so that I could learn some of the parts.
And then your very first show with us was the CD release party at John Henry's.
Yep.
Yeah, and that
sold
was
out
2
show.
weeks. That was 2 weeks after I'd said yes.
Yep.
And so talk about no rest for the wicked. So obviously, so here I am, right? I say yes. I'm like, okay, cool. Let's go and play some music. Oh, and by the way, we practice 6 nights a week for anywhere from 3 to 5 hours a night. It's like, wow, that's a pretty big commitment.
And when we're doing a sold out CD release party in 13 days.
Yep, 13 days.
Yep.
And then with tape in hand, I show up to practice, and Rich goes, you know what? I had somebody in my family die, and I need to go to California for the next week.
That's right.
I was like, wow, I'm really glad Andrew knows all the parts. Let's go ahead and practice.
You bet. I know them all. Let's go.
And so
You practiced with Jeff, though, quite a bit.
I did practice with Jeff quite a bit, and
And it helped, obviously.
it did. I learned the parts.
You only made
but
one
mostly-
mistake at the party.
Only one really big mistake, yes. But
First
I do,
note, right?
First note.
First
note.
Of
yeah.
failure.
Yep.
Well, I was gonna say that for my Andrew time, it was spent getting inducted into all the movies that Henry's Child made references
Oh,
to.
right. That's right.
We'd watched Blade Runner, and we had watched
Brain Dead.
Brain Dead. That's what it was. Yes.
Ninth wave.
Final
Yes,
approach,
under the-
ninth configuration.
Ninth configuration.
Ninth
that's what it was.
configuration. Yeah.
Yeah, ninth configuration. That's a great movie.
What was
So-
that Peter Ware movie that you're into? The something wave. The last wave.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah.
That's another great movie.
Quickly inducted into the mindset and the
Yep.
paradigm that was Henry's Child at the time.
It's interesting you mentioned the piece about you playing in other bands because I remember that. You bringing it up got me back into that moment. I remember smiling at you. Like, you're kidding, right? I mean, we were, again, the reason everyone thought we were so tight live is we practiced like fiends.
You're right.
We were ready to start booking a lot of shows. There was
Well,
no
and-
way you were going to play in other bands.
And truth be told, Andrew, that really resonated with me because that's what I wanted for my other bands that I
Right.
was in. I would have given anything to practice even 3 or 4 nights a week,
Mm-hmm.
right? And I mean, sure, they played shows, but they were mostly opening shows. And I was liked the music. I liked Rich a lot.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't really know you. I didn't know Jeff at all
Right.
when I joined. But no, it worked out. I mean, that really resonated. That really spoke to a listening that I had. I was like, wow, these guys are super serious.
Yeah. Yeah, a lot of fun. A lot of fun. Those are good memories. I love the
very
fact
cool.
that Kris Holm, again, just to land what a cool human he is, did lights for us at that show.
Yeah.
And he volunteered that because he
our
knew
CD release
at our
party,
CD release party of
Kris
the album
did our
he
lights.
played on after he got told we want to get a new bass player. First off, he reacted with relief. He was ready to go. He just wasn't able to say it before we said it.
That says a lot to Chris's
character.
His character. Yeah. Just that he knew he was in over his head and
Yeah.
he didn't want to hold us back, so he was okay with the fact. And it's never a good scene. I mean,
No.
Even when you don't want to let go, and that was the case with Kris. But no, not only did he do lights, Thom actually used his gear also.
Yes, he did. He used his Trace
Which
Elliott.
became Tom's
Trace Elliott.
gear.
Yep, he ended up buying it from him
Yeah.
for a huge discount.
Yeah.
Although I will say, Chris's gear, didn't the band buy that for him?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, yeah.
I think we paid for that
I-
out of our meager earnings.
Well, I mean, we kind of skipped over a little bit before Thom joined the band. It's like we would play. We played a few Battle of the Bands
oh yeah,
and won.
yeah.
So all of a sudden it's like, well, maybe something's going on here, and just it's hard to remember how quickly, like in the first 6 months, things just went.
Yeah.
We went from playing in front of nobody to all of a sudden it's like we're a draw.
Yeah.
And that is strictly 100% just
Sweat equity.
grinding it out,
Sweat
man,
equity,
grinding it out.
Yeah.
Playing anything that we possibly could.
Yeah. Some good stories in there about that Swingers Battle of the Bands, that first night playing with Joe, meeting Itchy Itchy.
Itchy
That
and
first night.
Average Joe
Yep.
and Jeff Olson, who played in Average Joe.
That's right. And we got to meet all of them.
Yeah.
Fascinating.
And we recorded at Jeff Olson's studio.
That's what I
for
mean.
Clearly
Full circle. That's
Confused,
what I'm
yeah.
talking about.
Yeah.
And Joe did my hair for free for years.
Right.
It's funny that you mentioned that because what occurs for me is I actually missed all that. I missed all that because I was out playing in other bands, doing other shows.
Right.
But I distinctly remember going to John Henry's on a Tuesday night because it was an open night back in your 20s before kids and you could barely afford tattoos. You're like, oh, well,
I still can't
I
afford
don't-
tattoos.
I don't have anything to do tonight.
Right.
I can't even imagine that now. But I'm going to go out and see this band.
And that was the first time you saw us? Is that what you're saying?
No, I don't think it was the first time I saw you. But
Okay.
I feel like the first time might have been Swingers.
Yeah, because that's pre-Hollywood Taxi, and
Swingers.
Yeah.
Wow. That was that Battle of Bands I was talking about.
yeah,
Swingers.
Well, we played there off and on also.
We did.
I mean, there was just a handful of places we could play because we were in a weird niche. We never played Taylor's,
Nope. Too heavy.
but we did play Max's
Yes, once.
and the original
And
John
we,
Henry's.
were too heavy for them too.
Yeah.
They just
And-
wanted the crowd we were going to bring.
and just parties and everything, whatever we could play.
One of our greatest advantages as a band, I think, is kind of an underappreciated piece is that for whatever reason, our crowd, our fans, love to drink a lot. So they always made the bars a lot of money.
Yep.
And so even if we didn't seem like we had that many people there, the bar did great and they were always really enthusiastic to have us back. And I couldn't figure out why until I realized, everyone bought a ton of beer and spent a ton of money. They love us. Great.
I think there was a little bit of a, and I don't know how they could sense this, but there was a little bit of a, these guys are serious.
Oh, yeah,
They
yeah.
love music.
Well, the Fremont thing was the best one. Club Chaos. That was probably the best example of that.
Yeah.
I mean, we came in
That's
there.
a tour story, though.
That is tour story, but we played in front of 20 people,
That would be on
but-
podcast 113, I think.
give or take. Number 113.
Yeah. Fires and
Number 11-1.
chevrons and
Yes. So we played that. I still remember playing that show. That's another West story. 20 people are there, maybe.
yeah.
And of course, we're like, yeah, great. But so be it. We'll do
Sure.
our best. And the owner/bartender guy and another band was there.
Mm-hmm.
Cosmic Dance.
Yep.
Nice guys who came up afterwards were like, dudes,
Right.
you're coming back. You're playing another show. It's going to be a weekend. I
Right.
mean, they could not have been more enthusiastic when we were all obviously pretty disappointed.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so I don't know, that always felt really nice.
But it was like that, I mean, who I thought really kind of bolstered my idea of like, I'm glad that we're taken seriously was Bruce
Oh yeah.
at John Henry's.
Yes. He
Bruce
was the
and
first one.
Detonators. I mean, he liked us.
Yes. And remember that first show, he actually came up on stage and like redid some stuff and
Yeah.
came back. And then afterwards chatted us up for 20 minutes.
Yeah.
and wanted to know when the next show was, and he was there ahead of time helping us set the mics and the gear up. Bruce was a very cool guy.
He helped push us forward, absolutely.
He did.
And that's part of it, too. If you have a work ethic and you're doing what you want to do, and they can see the passion behind it, this isn't just some sort of scheme to get free beer, you know.
It's a scheme, free beer or free women, Rich.
Right.
I mean, it's one or the other, right?
They meld at some point, right?
Yeah.
Anyway.
Ooh, that's probably true.
Anyway, but the idea that, you know, you're doing it for because Bruce is a good musician. It's the idea of you're doing it for the same reason that they do it.
Yeah, credibility.
You know, there's a camaraderie there.
Absolutely.
So, and that's part of it. But, you know, after Mumbles and Screams, things just went.
We played a lot of shows.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Remember when people would look at our touring schedule and be like, this is ridiculous. And what they didn't realize was we played 6 nights a week anyway.
Yeah.
So going out and playing, because what you were talking about, and the reason it came up for me was what you were talking about in Fremont. That was probably like a Tuesday or a Wednesday night.
Mm-hmm. Tuesdays and Wednesdays were our bread and butter back in the day, Tom. You know that. I mean, Rich, you know that.
Sure.
Thursday night, new band night in Salem. Actually, that story starts at Satyricon in Portland. We played a Tuesday night show.
Right.
6 bands, 30 minutes. We drive all the way to Portland. Just so happens one of the other bands on the bill is Solace.
Yep.
We get to meet Everett. And those guys completely flipped a lid and said, "We got to get you into Salem. Oh my God, you got to meet Jason of the West Side Station."
Everett, Dave, and Kevin.
Everett, Dave, and Kevin. Absolutely. Everything's great, Jake.
Yep.
And so then we get our Steve Smith takes our CD up to Jason Coleman up in the West Side Station all those years ago.
Yeah.
Plays it. Yes, we had a CD back then. Plays it for him. He books us on new band night. We're booked for 4 consecutive Thursdays. That's how it used to be done back in the day. Our first show there, remember who we played with?
No.
Taxi Cab Floors.
That's right, Brian.
Our bestest bestie, Brian Forster. Some people may know him as Ben Foster, but it just depends on which liner notes you read to which album. So we play Thursday, it goes well. We play the next one, it goes better. We play the third one, and the place explodes.
Right.
And tables get broken.
Yep.
And Jason says, "You're not playing the next one, you're doing a weekend."
Yeah.
And so that's when we broke in Salem. And that show, the weekend show, we're going to play with Loveload and Ted Hines.
Yeah.
And they were supposedly headlining. Jason recommended to Loveload that we headline.
Yeah.
Ted wasn't having it.
No.
So we played second.
Yeah.
And the place was packed to the gills. And we got off stage and everybody left.
Mm-hmm.
That was really something we had never experienced before because we'd never been popular.
Right.
Frankly, we weren't happy about it. You never want to do that to another band.
No.
We like the guys in Loveload.
Well, there should be a respect.
Yeah,
it's like come and see the music.
Exactly. Exactly. But really, that was the beginning of us getting popular. West Side Station was our bread and butter.
Well, anyway, I mean that you go and you play a Thursday night in Portland, and then you meet another band.
That's right.
And then that band says, "Hey, we like you. You want to come and play with us in another place that you've never played." And that's very important. That's how it works. I'm not sure if it works that way anymore, but that's how it used to work. It was networking. That's how you move your way into new regions.
You find the other bands that you could tell were serious, who could write good music, and you enjoyed them as people and tried to, join forces, for lack of a better term.
Sure,
so the guys in Itchy Itchy played with us.
Absolutely.
Solace played with us.
Totally.
Blister from Denver played with us. Cosmic Dance from the Bay Area played with us. Those all were great traded shows.
Sure. We even had one after you weren't in the band any longer. We Zigzag Black. That's a perfect example.
From there, really, it took us longer to get popular in Eugene. I remember that. And it sort of bled from Salem to Eugene. We would have hardcore fans like Brian and other fans who would drive from Salem to come see us at the Wow Hall because the sound was so much better.
I'm not 100% sure why, but there's probably something to this, but bands just avoided Salem. I don't know if they thought that there wasn't any place to play here or not, because remember, we broke into Salem before Floater broke into Salem. And Floater had already had like a 6-month, head start on us.
And they were already popular.
They were already popular, but somehow we met with the right people and got in here and got into Salem earlier. And You know, hey, we're in Salem right now. But anyway,
Yeah, we had a lot of good shows at the West Side.
oh
We did,
yeah,
absolutely.
yeah,
great
absolutely.
shows.
The
Grand Theater.
but that you had the Grand Theater. Just networking is important.
Yeah,
I mean,
it was
that's-
back then. I'm not sure how it works now. It's because we're old and we don't understand this whole social media thing, right, Tom?
Even though we're doing a podcast.
right.
Oh, is that what this is?
You know, I used to keep a list of every single show that we played.
You had a great spreadsheet of
I
that.
think I still have it somewhere, but you know, we played the Satyricon a lot.
A lot.
I think we played the Satyricon at least 60 times.
I have great memories of this Satyricon. A couple specifically stand out. The couple that decided to have sex upstairs and show us everything, and we were the only ones that could see it. That was fairly epic.
Sure.
Very, very distracting. Getting so stoned I couldn't move before a show, and letting me know I can't smoke pot before I get on stage. Otherwise, I have zero entertainment value
Right.
for the audience. It was great for me, though. I thought you guys sounded amazing.
We did.
You
sure
did.
we
I'm telling
yeah.
you, I had the greatest sound of all time, but the entire audience thought something was wrong with me because something was wrong with me.
was
I was really stoned. Great memories. The bartender inviting us personally to play his birthday party
Yeah,
when they
yeah.
closed that place.
Yeah.
It was closed to the public, invitation
Oh,
only.
yeah.
That was an amazing. What a great. It's like he thought we were amazing. Quote: "You guys don't sound like anybody else that comes through here. I'd love to have you play my birthday party."
Yeah.
That was what a beautiful thing, man. He listens to 6 bands a night. He chooses us. I mean, it's lovely.
Yeah.
You sure?
Yeah, I still remember that.
So, I mean, you know, all of this is interconnected with getting Thom, having Jeff, having a solidified foundation, and you know, and everybody thinking the same way and wanting to push forward and do what we needed to do. And of course, from there comes the sonic explosion.
Oh yeah, of course. It's so interesting that it was this give and take with Elemental. John Bolt didn't know if he wanted to sign another band that had a similar kind of heavy psychedelic sound,
Right.
or if he wanted something completely different. So he was really having an issue with that. I found that fascinating. And he demanded we recorded new music. We couldn't use mumbles and screams. He wanted new songs
Right.
to listen to for us to enter the contest. So we had to go and record some new songs.
By winning every single round,
Yeah.
he had no choice. But I think we'd won him over by then anyway.
Oh, I think we did too, obviously. Some great bands in that, though.
Sure.
I mean, if I remember correctly, and I don't know if Steve Rogers or John Bolt will hear this and correct me if I'm wrong, but I thought they got over 700 entries.
There was a lot. Of course, we had hometown advantage.
Yes,
you
which
know,
helped.
But still, we were at the top of our game. We were at the height of our popularity. It was like we would have had to have lost it ourselves.
Yeah.
You know, we were not going to go down easy. We're not going to let somebody just come and take it from us.
Yeah.
What I remember hearing after the fact, maybe even a few years after the fact, was it was very close between us and the Bella Low.
Yeah. I heard the same
Like
thing.
way closer than we thought it was.
And Bella Low was very good. I remember liking them. We saw them on the first time that they played because we went to a couple of the shows of the other bands. I remember watching them play and going, those guys are good.
Yeah, I remember seeing them at John Henry's.
Yeah, they were very, very good. I liked that band. They had a great feel. They were trying to create something different also. They really were. It didn't sound like anybody else.
Completely different than us, that's for sure.
That's
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And one of them had a great quote, though, at that final show. I'm pretty sure it was one of the guys in Bella Low that when we started Failure and we had the syncopated light show back then, which nobody did, but we spent way too much money on, came on when the Failure started with all the fog. He said, well, that's it. He said that the sound guy. That's pretty good. Whether that's true or not, but they had the great 60s melting slides projected behind them. Remember that? That was beautiful. I mean, I like that band.
I think what we had was energy.
Oh yeah.
And the crowd fed off of that.
Yeah.
They'd be singing along, and the next song they'd be moshing.
Right.
So I think that was important at the time. Plus, Eugene had its own scene. And I know Greg has tried to get this, out there and everything else, but it wasn't really grunge. It was like a psychedelic art scene.
Heavy psychedelia.
Yeah, there was
Heavy
with a
psychedelia.
lot of an art rock type aspect to it. I mean,
How else do you write songs like Live Before?
well, and
It's 9 minutes long.
or just having props and just making it more than just going to see a band. And we made sure that we dressed for stage. We wanted to make sure that we differentiated ourselves a little bit from just
A little bit of face paint.
a little bit of face paint, a little bit of ivy, fake ivy, a little bit of black light stuff going on here, and
Perhaps more than a little.
oh yeah. So I mean, I think that's part of it, and it's just the whole. And really, in all honesty, we've gone over this before, and I think it's still something that kind of eludes my thought patterns around what happened with the band. It's like people never knew what we were doing. They liked it, but they couldn't put us in a specific genre or anything else. And I think that was good for us, and I also think it could have been detrimental in the long run because people didn't know what to do with us.
Yeah, it was. We tried to narrow our sound down voluntarily for Clearly Confused.
Sure.
To our own detriment. I mean, that was a voluntary choice you and I made. I remember that. We talked about it a lot.
Right.
And we willingly took out or just narrowed our focus, shall we say, and not realizing at the time, because
Right.
when you're in it, you can't see the forest for the trees, or can't see the trees for the forest. How does that work? I don't know that. We didn't realize that one of our great strengths was that variety.
Right.
One of the reasons people were so attracted to the music was that you could hear failure, still waiting, victim by choice, warm, all in the same set.
Sure.
And bands just didn't do that back then.
I always use the little marker that we're the band that opened for Testament and Five for Fighting.
Absolutely. And we blended well with both.
Yeah.
Yep.
So,
although I remember being semi-terrified at Testament, I think I declared we were changing the set. Wasn't that right? Heavy set. We're playing the heavy set.
I remember you turning around and
We're playing the heavy set.
Yeah,
Yep.
that's exactly
And
what
I
you
think
said.
we opened with headlights. I think that was one of the few shows we actually started with headlights.
yeah, we went straight to heavy.
And guess what? It worked.
You'll have to hear, or we need to bring Brian in at some point in time. He was in the audience.
Oh, yeah?
And Amber, and yeah. Yeah.
I would love to hear that story.
That's an interesting story.
Oh, really? Well,
yeah.
then
we were
we're going to
getting
have
heckled. We were getting heckled a little bit, and Amber turned to the guy next to her and told him off, and said, and then I remember them telling me that by the third song in, the guy was right there with us.
Yeah. It took a couple of songs because
Right.
we didn't look anything. I didn't wear nearly enough leather
Right.
to play an opening band in front of Testament.
But that's just it. It's like
I remember the guitar player and bass player loving us, man.
Yeah,
Those guys could not have been cooler.
no.
Yeah.
I still that was a great validation moment walking
Sure.
off stage and they're like, man, you guys are fucking great. I mean,
Right.
they were just into it. That just felt great
Yeah.
after being there, and the crowd totally got into it. So anyway,
But it's that aspect,
Yeah.
that, and it goes all the way back to. I mean, if it was a problem, we created it for ourselves
Yes, we
because
did.
we opened it up at the very beginning by saying we're going to do anything we want to do.
and then we wrote a whole bunch of acoustic songs just to play with the acoustic project on top
Exactly.
of it.
Yeah.
I mean, because we can't stop writing.
Yeah.
Yeah, fun stuff.
High quality problem.
Indeed.
Well, thanks again, guys, for coming over and chatting it up. We'll call this part 2 of the origin story, I guess.
Sure. Is there a part 3?
I don't know. That might
There's
be the reunion story.
What part are we on now? It's like 7.3.
I think it's
or-
6.2.
Oh, okay.
We're
6.2.
right here and right now.
Oh,
Right?
Isn't that Jesus Jones?
Yeah.
Wow.
Gotcha.
We are from
Good
the
old
90s.
JJ.
From the 90s. Yes, indeed.
It came out my